This is Stella's Tarot. It is out of print, and I recently got a copy because I've always been intrigued by the imagery and how beautiful it is, and I saw it for a really good price. So it's by AGM, A.G. Mueller, and this one is copyright 2008, and the interesting thing, it's called Stella's Tarot, but it's directed by Stella Koruko, but it's painted by someone else, Takako Hoi. So it's called Stella's Tarot, but the artwork's by someone completely different. One of the hallmarks of AGM decks is the box, and there's I like these because of the little sort of flaps that kind of help you. This one right here, it kind of, when it opens up wider. It's the only company that really does that. Other AGM decks, like this one, see there's a little, so you can open up wider, get the cards in and out. So let's look at this really nice deck. Here's a booklet which is stapled, and it has black and white images of some of the cards. There. So here's the artist. Hoi is a very close friend of Stella. Has held numerous exhibitions in Tokyo, Osaka, Paris, other cities, where her work's been praised. The designs were designed them at her house on a lakeshore in the course of 2 years. And then it's the typical book, right, with meanings, spreads, and that's about it. So the back of the cards are reversible, and it actually says Stella. Stella. So it is reversible. It's kind of a nice yellow and blue. It's pretty. I like the. It's very almost regal. So let's look at the cards. And these are the order in which I got them. The deck was used supposedly, but they seem to be in order, and there's no wear and tear. The box came a little crushed on the side, but I'm not too worried about that. People have criticized this deck, I think unfairly, because they say the figures are very elongated and alien-like. I think they're beautiful, they're stylish, and the colors are so pretty. The one thing I do not like about all the cards, I always hate seeing this, is all the copyright stuff on the side. It's just kind of annoying. You know, I realize that it's on every card, and you can see that. I just find it really annoying, but that's just me. So it's written in this fancy script. Like the Fool, it's very fancy. You can just glancing at it, it may be difficult to read right off, but let's look at the cards. So here's the Fool with the little dog nipping at the thing in the knapsack, the motley colors, the cliff, which almost looks like a cupcake, the Magician, which is on the cover. Here we have tools of the trade, but I love how the background, the colors of the shirt, all the little magical things. The High Priestess, the moon, the stars. I mean, the artwork is so beautiful and intricate, it lends itself to a bigger card, just like the Barbara Walker tarot. I love the imagery in that, and it's so sad to see it like smushed down, because I'm sure the originals were on panels and were quite huge. The Empress, very feminine card, very flowery. The Emperor card looking the other way. Little rams on the throne, legs crossed. The Hierophant. No monks. The Lovers. Pretty card. This almost reminds me of the oh shoot, I'm lost. The deck. The one that's made with quilts. The name eludes me right now. Chariot. I mean, the faces of the people are just, they're so well done. Artwork is very nice. Makes the Enchanted Tarot. I have it, I just, it's a very fancy deck. The Hermit. Here we have sort of a sun image. The Snake. We have these little dragon creatures. Fortune, or the Wheel. Here we have a woman cranking it with the 3 images there. Strength, it says miracle instead of strength. Interesting. It looks like they're almost on a stage. Hanged Man. Here he's juggling upside down, almost. The sun's out, but it looks like it's dark at the bottom. Death. Beautiful card. Temperance. These waves. The Devil. Cosmos. There's a lacy collar, the bat wings, hands, sort of third eye. The Tower. Here we have a tower with an eye. We have 3 people falling out of this being struck. The Star. It's interesting, the finger pointing up. I love the little face there. The Star. The Moon. Here we have, there's the crab, the 2 dogs, the moon, the 2 towers. It's very pretty. I like how regal the dogs look. The Sun. Here we have not 2 children, but 2 people playing. One's an accordion, one's sort of a lute thing. It's interesting, the sun only has like a little dot on its cheek, not on the other side. Judgment. Angel. Tooting away. The universe instead of the world. It's very pretty. Such a lush, beautiful deck. And then we get into the minor arcana. Okay, so let's look at the minor arcana. I'm going to bring a friend over. There we go. I just picked it. And I'll tell you what it is when I'm done. So here's the Knight of Wands. Fire. Good. It has a crown, which is kind of confusing. Queen of Wands. Like a magician. All these almost appear like they're on a stage. Here we have a cheetah jumping through a fire hoop. The Prince of Wands. So there's no page, there's just the knight, queen. But we have a prince. Oh, I see. So there's no king. Interesting, we have a knight, queen, a prince, and a princess. With no king. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that, but you know, each deck sort of, they do their own thing. That's fine. Princess of Wands. So I guess the knight takes the place of the king. But I don't know. I'd have to look. Let's see, actually, what does this book say about... Yeah, it looks like the knight replaces the king, and the queen, the prince, and the princess. So it would be... princess would be page, or valet, and prince would be knight, queen is queen, knight is king. Okay. Ace of Wands. I love that ribbon, it looks almost like a snake. Two of Wands. Three of Wands. I mean, the little faces are so tiny. They're so intricate. They look so nice. Look at all the colors on this one. The gold, the birds. Five of Wands. Here we have two wands coming off of the sides, like unknown combaters. Six of Wands. This one actually says something at the bottom. Victory. What does it say? I can't read it. It's very tiny. Six of Wands. It looks like Victor. Seven of Wands. A darker card. Seven of Wands. Eight of Wands. Little butterflies on the dress. Nine of Wands. Ten of Wands. Now, the more I go through these, they look more like these are performances on a stage with very deliberate decorations, like the rain clouds. It's very stylized with rain, and yet the ground looks. Here's one. This is the Knight of Cups with those beautiful waves. So liquid water. Queen. So the Knight of Cups. So the Knight does, I mentioned the Knight had a crown, so that's the easy way to know that it's the king, plus he's on a throne. I don't know if that's intentional, or maybe it could be a translation issue. I don't think so, but you never know. Queen of Cups. Imagine having a deck go into production and you called the king a knight and you didn't mean to, but it's too late, they've already been printed. The Prince of Cups. Yeah, he was like standing on a bird. Princess of Cups, all those butterflies. One thing I didn't mention is the Art Nouveau water. It's consistent with all of them, with Arabic numerals instead of Roman numerals. Cardstock is typical A.G. Mueller. It slides very easily. They're standard. They don't really deviate from it. And the corners are neat and rounded, standard. Ace of Cups. Here we have the bird dunking like the host in the cup. But we have the two sort of rivers flowing out of it with lily pads, lotus flowers. Here we have a winged lion, man and woman. Three of Cups. Cup out of, just when you thought you've lost everything, out of the blue or out of the red sky comes yet another cup. This is cool. Here we have a person who, it looks like they're wearing a mask, but maybe not. It's the moon dumping out. It's almost like a sense of, I've spilt everything, I picked this up, this is what's left, what's the point in trying to save what I have? A Six of Cups. It's hard to tell if those are children or not, but they look very childlike. Shorter in stature, not as elongated. Seven of Cups. Strange things popping out of the cups. Interesting. Eight of Cups. Rainbow. Nine of Cups. All this in front of you. Ten of Cups, pushing it over the edge. Ten of Cups, too much difficulty managing what you have, excess. Knight of Swords, here we're flying in the air on a Pegasus. I love the blues. The blues are the lapis blues are very nice. Queen of Swords. Prince of Swords. Looks like he's holding balloons that are off of the picture. He's holding them and they're sort of floating off, but you don't see them. Here we have the princess balancing on an orange ball on a stage, yet holding the sword. Dangerous, but skilled. Ace of Swords. Very typical. Beautiful crown with the moon on it. And little, looks like salamanders on the crown. I know in mythology salamanders were thought to be fire resistant. And that's why a lot of fireplace screens, especially in France, salamanders are depicted on the screens because they thought they were fireproof. They could throw them in the fire and the fire wouldn't hurt them. I'm not sure where that came from, but that's the myth behind them. Two of Swords, I love this. Blindfolded, the swords, the night sky. And here's the heart card with the three swords sticking in the heart. And it looks like goldfish, maybe goldfish, depicted on the dress. Sort of a rich velvet looking dress. Four of Swords. Jugglers. Actually, they're pointing jugglers. Very skilled, very in sync. Interesting, we have a cat person, maybe a mask. I'm guessing it's a mask. Here are the two people turned away, the victor with regrets. Ooh. Here we have here's the traveler with a map. Here we have a little globe, lines, the six-pointed star. It's getting darker. Eight of swords, blindfolded, bound. Swords all around. This card is very different for the deck. It's surreal. It has a fish, an owl, a column, person weeping in bed, nine of swords with that eye just there hovering. It doesn't look like it's like it doesn't belong in the deck. I mean, just looking at it, it's darker. The imagery is completely different. Maybe if you look at the way it's depicted, it looks so different, so foreign for this deck. Ten of Swords. Falling. Dread. Overwhelm. Knight of Discs. Look how the silver and gold seems to be the color of the discs, the coins. Denarii, Pentacles, all those. There's the Queen. The Prince. Staring right at you. Princess, she has, it's just a dress with dragonflies on it. The Ace. It's interesting, the hand pointing, finger pointing with these almost very anime Japanese clouds. Ten of Discs. You have an infinity symbol. Two of discs, not 10 of discs. Here we have almost a juggler with 3. 4, standing on 2. 5, running, catching. Manna from heaven. People say manna from heaven, and I'm like, it's a biblical term, and I wasn't really aware of it till, I don't know, maybe a few years ago. But supposedly it's what kept the Jews in the desert fed while they were fleeing, manna from heaven. And supposedly they collected a jar of it, and it is supposedly in the Ark of the Covenant, a jar of manna. Whatever this manna was. Supposedly it fell from the sky and sustained the Jews as they were fleeing, which is interesting. What could you eat? What would it look like? What would it taste like? What, you know, in video games, manna it's now a popular thing. Manna is like it could be your magic energy that you use up, and when you run out of mana, you can't use your magic anymore. So it's sort of entered into pop culture. But that's what I think about this, especially since it's not accumulating on the ground. We have pointy hat people. I don't think it's meant to be a dunce cap. And that looks like a Tower of Babel figure. the spiral, the stand, scales, spiderweb. Here we have another dragonfly. I prefer maidenflies, and dragonflies are much more delicate, colorful, beautiful. They don't flit around like dragonflies do. They're very hovering. This summer we're having lots of dragonflies around everywhere. They're just zooming around. Here we have standing on a platform. Hard work brings fruit. Hard work brings reward. I love how easy the meanings of the cards are conveyed through these. It shows a real understanding of the meaning. 9 of discs. What a pretty card. 10 of this, the last one. The beautiful flowers. Okay, so that's the deck. 78 cards of Stella's Tarot. I've seen it also written as Stella Tarot, but it's Stella's Tarot on the box. So here's my friend I picked. And I have this growing outside. It's Datura, Jimson weed, Devil's Trumpet, it's called all those things. Angel's Trumpet, I believe, is another plant. They're pendular. But this is the seed fruit. And what's interesting about this is it has like a stiff collar on top. It's spiny, but they're sort of not terribly kind of soft right now. Not too soft. I wouldn't step on it, but it gets about this big, and then all of a sudden it just rips open. It stays green and it rips open. It doesn't dry out right away. And it looks like a brain inside, the way the seeds are arranged. And the seeds are about the size of a, I don't know, they're a decent size. But people use this plant for hallucinogenic things. I just think it's a very pretty plant. Supposedly it's the white stuff, the stuff beside the seeds that gives you a high or whatever, but it's supposed to be very dangerous. I've read about blurred vision for up to 6 months, depression for over a year, and if you ingest them, I think 15 seeds, you get this, it is enough to knock you out for like 3 days, and you don't know what's happened, and you're supposedly extremely thirsty the whole time, and so it's not something to play around with. But I think the fruit is very interesting. It's very and this one's a big one. It's about ready to burst, and it will just rip open, and then the seeds stay in there, and then they start to drop. But yeah, it's this collar is very rigid. It looks like it's almost like a hat, a head. But yeah, so I thought this is the biggest one on my bush right now. And the bush, I have it planted close to my house, and usually we're zone 7-8 here in Virginia. It normally it's a annual, but if you plant it and you cover it up or you mulch, it's planted near the foundation of my house. The roots stay alive, so this plant is about 4 years old, and it's about the size of a small bush. It gets probably about 3.5 feet tall, 3.5 feet, 4 feet wide, and the most I've seen 30 blooms on it at once, and the blooms, are huge. They're like 4 inches across. So, anyway, thank you for watching my review of Stella's Tarot. It really is such a beautiful deck.